What is the internet? Now, this is never to insult anyone's intelligence. This is never to talk down to anyone. This is simply to define a couple words so that we have these common words that we can use in our conversation, okay? We're going to go into a couple new things. So the first thing I want to present to you is this concept right here. What is the internet? Now, this is never to insult anyone's intelligence. This is never to talk down to anyone. This is simply to define a couple words so that we have these common words that we can use in our conversation, okay? So let me show this to you. So first of all, what is the internet? Well, imagine, if you will, that each one of these squares represents a computer, and they're all hooked together. Do you see that? This is an interconnected computer network. And that's where we get the word internet, interconnected computer network. Hi, Diana. Glad you jumped in. Good to see you here this morning. So the internet is an interconnected computer network. But you know what? The computers are not actually hooked up in a straight line like up here at the top. They're actually hooked up down here at the bottom. They're hooked up like this, kind of like a circle, where they're all hooked into each other. And that's where we get the phrase, the World Wide Web. So how does it work? Well, you know what? When I first made this drawing in 2006, there was only one kind of website, what we call a static website. And now we have two kinds of website. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that today. So in a static website, it works like this. Someone like myself over here on the right-hand side builds a website on my own computer. So for some reason, I don't know if you can see my cursor pointing at that, but imagine that computer on the far right as my computer in my office. So if I'm building you a static website, I'm going to build it. I'm going to code it over here on my computer. Type, type, type. If it's a one-page website, it's one page of code. If it's 5-page website, it's 5 pages of code. And I type it up, type, 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 and I save those files, and now it's ready to go live. So then I need to upload those files to one of these computers over here on the left, and the fancy term for that is your host, your website host. Okay, what's a host? Your website host is kind of like we're renting an apartment for your website to live in on the internet. So we have to pay some company. I don't want to mention the big, you know who they are already, like GoDaddy, for example, right? They spend the most money on advertising during the Super Bowl. So I'm sure you've heard of them, GoDaddy. Well, by the way, I also offer website hosting services. So if I can help you with that, please let me know. Very comparably priced. And yet, of course, I provide better service and a higher level quality hosting. But anyway, wherever your host is, you need a host. So that's the computer that we're renting space on for your website to live in. So in a static website, I build it on my own machine, and then I upload those files to the host, and then it's live. It's live to the whole world at that point. And if you want to make a change or update a price or update a service, I go back over here to my own computer, type, 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 save those changes, and then we upload those files right back over there to that host. And then it's live. So that's a static website. That's the first kind of website. So now we have a second kind of website. We call it a dynamic website. You may have heard the phrase Web 2.0. That was like huge, 10 years ago, Web 2.0 was the phrase being used. And what that means is it's a dynamic website. So it's not built on my computer and then uploaded. It's actually built right directly on that host computer. And what happens is it's kind of like two websites in one. There's the front of the website that everybody else can see, but then there's the back end of the website that you and I can log into, make changes, add pages, update your prices, update your content, your services, whatever, save it, publish it, and then once it's saved and published, then it's live to the rest of the world. So you can kind of think of a static website. It's smaller, it's sleeker, one-page site, one-page code, 5-page site, 5 pages of code. That's it. That's all there is to it. Upload those 5 pages. It's live to the world. The dynamic website, totally a different kind of animal. It's like a machine. It's built using a software, and it's interacting with the server all the time. There's the files on the site, similar to the static site, but there's also a database that holds the information, and these two pieces are tied together and talking back and forth. It literally builds the website every time someone comes to it. So this is a dynamic website, meaning it can dynamically change depending on what's happening in that back end. It's also the perfect place. See last week where we talked about blogging and publishing articles in the future. This is the kind of software you need to do that, because you can log in, you can create your blog, you can create 4 blogs. We talked about this last week. We can create a 4-part blog, and then we can set those blogs to launch, November 1st, November 8th, November, right? Whatever. We can set the dates we want them to publish. Do the work one time, and you can pre-program an entire month's worth of work in your website for you. So that's the kind of software you need. You need that back-end software called a content management system. And there's a couple different kinds of software that's used. You've probably heard of WordPress. My favorite is called Joomla. There's also Drupal and several others. So whatever software you're using, it's that back-end software that's running the website. It gives you a place to log into it, do stuff, change stuff, publish it, or set it to publish at a particular day or time. There's a lot of power in that kind of website. So the first part of my message today is there's 2 kinds of websites. There's the static website and the dynamic website. I wouldn't say either one is better than the other, because it really depends on your goals. Remember, I told you to set your goals and talk about your target market. That's really what determines what kind of website you're going to need. So when I sit down with a client, I don't start by talking about these kinds of websites. I start by talking about that business, what the business needs, the customers and clients of that business, their target market, what's important to them. That's the information that then tells me what kind of a website might work best for them. So go back to episode 10, was it? Episode 10, where I talked about the goals and the target market. Then come back here as we're talking about what kind of website is going to work best to fit your goals. And of course, ask me any questions you have about that. I'll help coach you or guide you on what kind of a website is going to work. I think we're back on track now. Nothing happened. Nothing to see here. Everything is fine. All of this will remain in the Facebook group, but it will all be edited out for the YouTube show. And that's why you should watch it in Facebook, because you get to see all the behind the scenes nonsense that happens. Okay, here we go. What was I saying? How can I pick it up? It's going to be so smooth, no one's going to notice that all this nonsense. Ask a Web Geek. AskAWebGeek.com. Internet's a jungle. Love you guys. Roar.